Data Voyagers.
There's a moment some people hit in their career where they stop being someone who uses a tool and start becoming someone who believes in it. They write the blog post nobody asked for. They answer forum questions at 11 p.m. They drive 6 hours to speak at conferences they could watch from home. Nobody told them to do any of that. So, what do you do with those people? How do you find them, recognize them, and actually connect them with one another? Qlik has two programs working on exactly that, one for partners, one for customers. Different audiences, but the same instinct behind both, that the most credible voices in any community are usually not the ones on the payroll. Hello, Data Voyages. I am Igor Alcantara. Oi, pessoal. And as always, I'm joined by my dear friend, brilliant co-host, fellow Qlik ambassador, Angelika Klidas. Angelika, thanks for being here. I'll try one more time. Hoi allemaal. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you, Igor. So, hoi allemaal. Fijn dat jullie er weer zijn.
Yeah, and we have two amazing guests today. Would you mind doing a brief introduction? They will introduce themselves, of course, later, but do you mind doing a brief introduction of our guests?
Yeah, sure. We have two amazing guests with us today at the Data Voyagers podcast, Sarah Urbiss and Mighty Mike Fawcett. So Michael Fawcett, they both work for the Partner Ambassador and the Qlik Luminary program. Two programs, two different audiences, and a lot to unpack today. So before we are about to start, let's hear from our sponsors.
Your data knows things your dashboards don't. Government agencies and healthcare organizations generate more data than most. Claims, case records, patient histories, service metrics. Most of it sits scattered across systems that weren't built to connect and clean just enough to file, not enough to act on. IPC Global works with public sector and healthcare teams to change that. We bring data together from across your organization, clean it properly, and build a consistent, trustworthy foundation that makes analytics and AI worth investing in. We work on Qlik, talent in AWS, so we can meet you where your infrastructure already is. If your data isn't ready, your AI won't be either. Visit ipc-global.com to know more. It's ipc-global.com.
So, Sarah, Michael, welcome to the Data Voyagers. Before we get into the programs, can you please give us a quick intro? What do you do at Qlik and how long have you been there? So let's start with the lady in the group. Sarah, could you please start?
Of course. Thank you. And so excited to be here. Obviously, we're huge fans of you all and the podcast and what you all do. So I have been at Qlik for 4 years. And in that time, I've worked with primarily with advocacy and advisory programs. So I work with the Qlik Luminary program, the Qlik Partner Ambassador program that we'll discuss today, but also Qlik Nation, Qlik Community, and I support the Executive Advisory Board here at Qlik as well.
Great. A lot of work, I guess.
It is, but it's fun work.
And Mike, great to have you here, man.
You know what? It is absolutely great to be here as well. I also echo exactly what Sarah just mentioned. It's a privilege, it's an honor to be a part of Data Voyagers. It's something that I've been tracking for quite a long time, and now finally I'm here and everything, right? So who am I? I'm the Director of Global Sales Enablement here at Qlik. That means I'm focused on our sales go-to-market strategy and also things such as our AI-powered sales productivity. which is a very fun project for us to be working on. And maybe one day we can come back to this type of podcast and share some of the great things that we're doing using AI with our own sales organization. But coming back to myself, my career spans companies such as Microsoft and Shell. And I've been here at Qlik for about 7 years, and very fortunate again to have been a part of working with our Qlik partner ambassador program for 4 of those years. So it's been quite a ride, and I'm excited to be here again today.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
And we're talking today about 2 programs, the Partner Ambassador and the Qlik Luminary. For people who haven't listened to these programs, can each one of you give like maybe 30 seconds, not exactly 30 seconds, but like a brief description and introduction what these programs are?
Sure. I can start by talking about what the Qlik Luminary program is, and then I'll let Mike kind of further explain the Partner Ambassador program. So the Qlik Luminary program is for our customers. So these are people who are not just using Qlik, but they are really excited about Qlik. They are really making an impact at their organization, but also beyond. So they're wanting to take what they're doing and share it with the wider Qlik community and Qlik ecosystem. These are customers who get the most excited about our new product releases, and they want to be the first people to have that opportunity to get access to those features. They want to share their expertise and advocate for Qlik. So there are Qlik champions. And then in return, they get to be part of a community that shares with each other, that has a deeper access to Qlik leadership, Qlik product teams, and they help provide feedback to Qlik teams across Qlik to help us make the whole experience better.
Great. And I can jump in and give, like you said, those 30 seconds about our Qlik Partner Ambassador program. Our ambassador program really recognizes top experts across Qlik's global partner network who are passionate about data and AI. And I like exactly what Igor had said is, people that have moved from using Qlik technology to people who truly live in it. And again, the partner ambassadors come from our partner ecosystem. They are also advocates, as Sarah mentioned, our luminaries are advocates in how our partners help customers get the most from Qlik products, while sharing success stories that inspire the partner ecosystem and the broader community. They also get benefits as well in return from Qlik. A lot of them are very similar to what Sarah just mentioned. Access to the roundtables that we have monthly with product management, which is obviously their channel to basically bring their feedback in directly to product managers and hear from product managers in return, and then private networking events and other benefits that I'm sure we'll talk about here throughout the podcast and stuff. So yeah, that's our program for partner ambassadors.
It's so great. I am for 10 years already in the programs. I was in both programs, right? So as a luminary for 5 or 6 years and 4 years in a row now for the partner ambassador. I love being in the program. But the partner ambassador is for the partner ecosystem, and luminary is for the customer. So where did this separation come from? What was the moment where Qlik said these 2 audiences need to have their own paths? When did that occur, guys?
Sure. So I think, they're very similar programs, but we did recognize that each group had distinct needs as well. And so, customers are working within their own organization, but partners are working with a large variety of customers or maybe even prospects. And so there are times when that conversation is different. And so we saw that there was a need for, some similar content, but also some distinct content where these groups would have the opportunity to discuss together specific topics, whether that be targeted to the customer versus partner kind of role. Mike, do you have anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, just real quick. Igor mentioned credibility at the top of the podcast, right? And so that's one of the other reasons why we wanted to kind of separate these programs, is that both programs are advocating. And when, let's say, people are listening to these advocates, they can look at this and say, I'm listening to a customer. and that customer is sharing their success story, or I'm listening to Qlik's partner network, which obviously has a connection directly to Qlik and how we go to market and how we sell and everything, right? So we wanted to make sure that those are two very credible voices, but not bringing them together, because in a way that's a little bit different connection to Qlik, if you want to call it like that, right? So yeah, but I think Sarah, you've captured also exactly why we wanted to keep these two programs separate, similar, and at times brought close together, right? So it's a nice model, I think.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, people who follow me know that I have a big passion for storytelling, and one thing we learn about storytelling when telling a story is that there was a trade-off depending on how deep you want to go into a story. Like if you don't go as deep enough, you might have a larger audience, but then you miss the point of of some of the details. But if the other way it happens, then you reduce your audience. And same for gamification. If you make a game too difficult, it becomes like a really a pleasure when you actually play the game and you face those challenges and you win those challenges. But at the same time, a lot of people might feel disencouraged. And I think similarity happens to the program, because this is my first year and a half as partner ambassador, and we have this feeling of this. We treat it especially now with the data voyage. I mean, we get a ton of support from Qlik, but at the same time, it cannot be something that is almost impossible to achieve. So how do you make a program that it still keeps that exclusive feeling, but it doesn't feel that it's impossible? People don't even try to achieve it.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something that I think we think about a lot, is that balance, because we want to keep it to a manageable size so that we can offer these unique experiences, these small group discussions, these meaningful connections. And we also want to, as we've said earlier, recognize people who aren't just using Qlik, but that are going above and beyond with Qlik. So, it's not everyone, but it is attainable. It is, I think we try really hard to make the path to become a Luminary or a partner ambassador really visible and transparent, so that it's achievable. There's just steps that you take to become one. Mike, what do you think?
No, spot on. And I really appreciate what you said, Sarah, is that we do intend to keep these programs, in a sense, small, like let's say between 50 and 60 partner ambassadors. So it's very manageable, and people in the community feel much more connected when it's not a community of 1,000 people, for example, right? But at the same time, and as Igor had said, and this is the second time I'll touch on this, it's, for example, he said, you move from using the product to living in the product, right? And that for me is not something that is something that people cannot attain, right? That you've decided, this is what I want to build my identity around, and that this is the company and the products that I want to use, right? And so for me, that's very reachable for anybody. And then when you start to do some of the things that we've talked about, in terms of, and again, Igor mentioned this, you write the blog posts, you answer questions on forums, and so again, I think that's something that is really attainable for all of us. And once we start to see that, and of course you follow the process that we do annually to bring in new partner ambassadors, once all of that is we start to recognize that, then it's like you could be a part of this great community, right? So I think it is very attainable for everybody. It's not out of reach. And then once you're in the community, that's one last thing I'll say is that, for example, we have, let's say, private events for the partner ambassadors and the luminaries, sometimes together. And we bring in some of our executives into those events, which, you have this amazing reach into the organization, right? So it's, both exclusive, small, but well within reach of, I think, anybody that becomes a fan, lives it, as Igor had said, and demonstrates that, right?
Yeah, Yeah, I think so too. What I felt this year, especially since Lund actually, and in at Qlik Connect in April, uh, there was such a big connection and friendship between the group, uh, in both groups, right? Sometimes we are also together, and sometimes we are just with the ambassador. But there is so much friendship, so much. I don't want to be soft, but love between us all, and that is not only in the group itself, but also the people from Qlik that are uh, surrounding us as well, helping us and uh, helping our voice to get out there. So yeah, I think it's an amazing program both ways. And that brings me to the next question, Mike. I think for you primarily, what does it take to become a partner ambassador? Is there a profile you're looking for, or is it more about what someone has already done in the community?
Actually, let me write those down because I apply for these next election.
I did too.
Let's give everybody a little insight.
Yeah. Let's do this. I
Yes.
know you have the independent. There are independent people that are looking at the profiles because we have to give examples. This year, I found the list with questions very small. My list was long, and suddenly I had to stop typing because the box was full. But I think I'm getting a touch on it. So I love the way it's shorter because it used to be very long. But please help us
Yeah.
out here. What are you looking
Yeah,
for?
I'll give a couple of pieces first, and then even Sarah can fill in a little bit of the blanks in terms of even some of the questions that we're looking, or the questions in the form in the process that we put out there for being a partner ambassador. But I would start by saying this, and it's kind of an interesting point. We talked about people that have made Qlik part of their identity. And the reason I want to talk about this first is we had a situation a couple of years ago where we had a member who was from a professional services organization, one of the, let's say, big four companies, right? And he said to me, actually, I'm struggling to be a part of your community because I can't be seen as being only Qlik. And which makes sense, right? Because, in some, especially those big four kind of professional services organizations, you need to be seen as maybe somebody who's a bit neutral, even though behind the scenes, you could be still a huge fan of Qlik, right? Now, in that case, actually, that specific professional services organization does have a Qlik competency center. And so then he actually recommended, rather than me be a part of the program, why didn't you bring in this other guy who is part of our Qlik competency center, somebody who can be seen in public, let's say, flying the Qlik flag and everything. And so I wanted to differentiate that, or say that, because I think that's one of the things that we are looking for, is that you have kind of committed, not to Qlik, but to, either the company you work for or for yourself, that you want to be seen as Qlik as part of your identity, and you're very happy to go publicly and talk about that, right? That to me is one of the biggest things, and Igor mentioned that as well, right? In the beginning, is that, these are the people that are seen in the blog posts and the forums that are answering for Qlik, going on LinkedIn and promoting what they see happening with Qlik and everything, right? And then there's some other things I'll say real quick and then hand it over to Sarah, is that, we actually talked about this yesterday, myself and Angelika, is the how much demonstrated technical expertise do you need to have to be a partner ambassador? And here, we do have people that know how to do scripting and set up data models. And we also have people that don't know how to do scripting and data models, including myself, by the way, right? But at the same time, you don't necessarily need to have that depth of experience, technical experience. You just have to have that really close affinity to the technology so that you can speak to it at events or in front of other people in meetups and stuff like that, right? So there's definitely a technical, let's say, I'll use the word expertise, but again, I don't want to confuse the situation and have people think, do I need to be that type of person that needs the script? No. Do we have people like that? Yes, they're helpful, and sometimes we need them. But
I know there is a big differentiation. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago in Lund, where I had the conversation with Janine about feeling the imposter syndrome, right? Like, I don't belong here because so much technical talk. But then on the other side, I do understand what they talk about, but I felt a little bit like an imposter in a deaf group, for example. But she also explained to me that your knowledge is so valuable because you know the conceptual way of working and you are from the business side, so you can connect the dots, and that's why you belong here. You are of extreme value at this in this group. Yeah.
yes, and so if whoever's not watching, I've given 2 thumbs up twice on exactly what Angelika just mentioned, which is, really that's ultimately what we're looking for, especially is the people that can connect the dots, who understand the concepts and can, again, connect between technology and business and everything, right? So Sarah, from your side, and you're much more closer to the application process and everything.
Actually, before that, can I just add something that to what Angelika said? Interesting enough that I felt, for different reasons, the same feeling she felt. Last year was my first and only time at Lund so far. And I felt before going there like this imposter syndrome as well, because I felt like I'm the new kid here. Everybody was like ambassadors and Luminary for like a decade or sometimes more. But I was so much embraced and welcomed, and everybody, like from day zero, made me feel so welcome. Then I actually could, we do this online stuff. It's great. I love it. But when you get in person, the connection, the sense of community is so great. And I said, oh yeah. Then it was just for a brief moment.
Yeah. Sarah.
Yeah. And Igor, it seems like you've been in the program for so much longer, that you've just had such an impact. But yes, we hope that everyone feels welcome from that they join. But I think, just to add on to the question about like the profile, I think everything Mike said is really accurate, what we're looking for. The only thing else I would add maybe is that kind of the business side, Angelika, that you were talking about, like partners have this unique insight into customers because of your roles. And so that feedback that we get on the customer experience, customer voice that you're hearing in the market, and also partner reach to be able to reach maybe customers or markets that Qlik isn't able to reach, is a big role that we look for in a partner ambassador as well, to kind of extend and amplify what Qlik is doing.
Yeah, like hosting a Data Voyagers podcast, for example, right? There's a perfect example.
We live and breathe Qlik, guys. Our blood is green.
Yeah, as Roger Waters, and I usually mention Roger Waters a lot. Roger Waters said in the song, I think it's 68, 69. I know it was after the Beatles' White Album, so I think it's 69. But anyway, what he said, green is the color, or green's our color, something like that. So yeah.
64, right? Yeah, it was my birthday last week, and Igor just dropped the song "When I'm 64" from the Beatles in the chat group of the partner ambassadors and the social community. So it was great. So I think, Igor, you are next up with the question.
Yeah, so another question about the ambassadors program. So the ambassadors, they and we can say like from the front seat row, we help influence product development. But for people who do not know how that actually works, because we read in the partner program and Luminary page that, but how does actually work in practice? Are they sitting in roadmap calls or just filling feedback forms? Is something else different? How does it actually work?
Yeah, no, I'll jump in real quick and then again pass it back to Sarah. And so there's 2 things. One is, so we have these monthly roundtables, and we as a group look to the partner ambassadors to help us decide what is the topic of the roundtable? That could be something like Qlik answers, MCP server, something from our data integration side of the business. And then we bring together the partner ambassadors, again, in kind of that, exclusive private forum, which is a roundtable discussion with product managers, right? And it's kind of of course, a bi-directional discussion where the partner ambassadors can bring their questions and their feedback, and of course get answers from product managers. But our product managers themselves also like to kind of bring their own questions and put that into the partner ambassador community, seeking input from them. And ultimately, it's those product managers that bring that feedback into the whole product development cycle that we have here at Qlik. There are other channels out there, not only for partner ambassadors, such as ideation and some of those forums that we have for the general public, but of course, the partner ambassadors have kind of like that direct connection in roundtables. The other thing I'm going to share here, because this is actually just literally yesterday, Drew Clark, who's our, probably most people on this call know who Drew Clark is, Executive Vice President of Products and Technology. Just yesterday, he shared on LinkedIn some comments. I'm literally going to read his comments here directly because it is answering this very question, right? And he did this because, of course, we're putting out the application process now for our partner ambassadors. And if you'll just bear with me 1 second, I'll read Drew Clark's message here, which is, one of the best parts of my job is working with our customers and partners, especially those who are not shy about giving product feedback. And that's exactly our partner ambassadors. They are not shy about giving product feedback, and we absolutely encourage and push even sometimes our partner ambassadors, like, bring the right feedback to either Drew Clark himself, because Drew Clark, for example, comes to our annual meetup with our partner ambassadors and luminaries, or of course his product managers are coming to things such as our roundtables. I'll go on, just bear with me. Drew Clark goes on to say that here's where we get real substance, and it moves beyond what we want to hear, and it becomes what we need to hear. The kind of specific, hard-won, real-world feedback that comes from people such as, again, our partner ambassadors who are actually building with our platform every day. That feedback has directly shaped our roadmap, and goes on and on. So I think here's the best example from our executive vice president of product, basically, already looking at the message that he wanted to attach to the partner ambassador message that went out, requesting that people such as Igor and Angelika and others apply for the program. And that's the message he attached there, to say, I love this program. I love the real feedback that we get from you guys, and it does go back into the development of our products and our roadmap looking forward. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that's amazing. I remember, when Qlik launched Qlik Answers, we formed a small group. I think we were with 8 or 9 people, and we tested out Qlik Answers thoroughly. Collected all feedback, gave you access to the OneDrive that we had created so we could share things, even put in some videos, right? So where was the disconnect or something, and everybody took it, and it was improved rapidly. And for me, that was a moment. And even when you asked Leonard and me to present the things that we did at Lund, we presented for 15 minutes about what we did, how we worked, the use cases, but also the moment. And that's because I think the true value is at this moment now with the new version of Qlik Answers, the combination of unstructured and structured data. And we mentioned that already 2 years ago in Lund, remember? We tested
100%. Yeah. In fact, that would be, if you ask me for 3 top moments of the partner ambassador program, that would be one of the 3, doing exactly what you said, Angelika, which is when Qlik Answers was first introduced, it was only looking at unstructured content. Immediately, you guys had already knitted together a system that looked at both unstructured and structured content together. And here we are 2 years later with the that new version of Qlik Answers doing exactly that, right? So yeah, that was definitely a highlight for me of the partner ambassador program, and what you guys demonstrated as a tight community, brought that to the product organization, demonstrated it in person and everything. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really an amazing moment. For me, that's the top moment. And then comes last year with all the podcast recordings that we were able to do in Lund. It was so great. So thank you. And I think you already answered my next questions, top moments. Do you have one more?
I do actually. I have 3 or 4. It's
Okay. Well, name your 3.
It's sure, actually. Well, the second one would be, and it's actually again directly related to changes to products and changes to roadmaps, is one of the exciting events that we've touched on a couple of times on this call is the meetup in Lund. And one of the activities that we introduced there for both partners and luminaries is the opportunity to sit down with a team that actually has, they're designing our products. And there's I forget the exact name of it, but it's effectively a process where you sit in a room and the room is full of Post-its on the walls and everything. It's like a design session. Yeah. And we do that when we bring the luminaries and the ambassadors together. They work with our design team and they go through that whole process. I love the pictures that we see from that, because again, it's just a wall full of sticky notes and everything. My story is that 1 year later, I was talking to a partner ambassador, I think at Qlik Connect, and he came up to me and he said, you know, Mike, I had an idea on one of those sticky notes that I now see in the product itself. And he put his hand on his heart and he told me how much that touched him personally, that he had that contribution to the product and everything through us having this community, us having that meeting, bringing together the community with the designers directly and everything, right? So that's one of my top stories. And I have one other one. I thought maybe we could save it for later, but it's kind of I'll say it now, the mid-air story. Do you want to save that one for later, or I can drop it now?
Save it for later, because that was such an emotional moment. Yeah. So, we will touch on that later.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so that's at least 2 stories I've shared that are related to, let's say, product and product development and everything that were my highlights.
So great.
Being a part of this program.
Thank you.
Actually,
so much,
I can share the same about that design sessions. I really enjoy it. And actually, I can say I don't think I can say it publicly yet, the specifics, because I was doing some private design sessions with some of the design team. There's something being developed for Qlik Learning in the future, so I don't think I can share yet. But without sharing details, I can say that some of the things that my group was primarily discussing: how do we engage the younger generation? How do we teach them Qlik? How do we get them interested? Because we need to form the next generation of Qlik developers, analysts, and all of that. And we share a few ideas, including names of future products and how Qlik Learning should behave to also achieve those generation. And I can see right now things being developed. So exactly. It's just a few months later. It actually happened pretty fast. And so you felt that, okay, my contributions are actually heard, which is, it feels great. Exactly. Now, switching to the Qlik Luminary program, a very similar question, actually. And I'll direct this primarily to Sarah. So the program, if you go to the website and read the program, it talks about multiple things, and one of them being confident decisions in real outcomes. So can you share an example of a luminary who changed how people at their organization think about data?
Sure. So I think one example that comes to mind is actually a really recent example. And this is our luminary, Mike Golvin from BT Group in the UK. And he has been a Qlik user for a really long time. He's a multi-year luminary, so he's grown with the product over the years. And just a few weeks ago, actually had a Qlik Cloud launch kickoff event for everyone at BT that uses Qlik. And so It was this huge event. Senior leader stakeholders from BT came to show their support. All the Qlik users were invited. They had, people virtually, people in person. They had even the Qlik bikes were there, from like the Qlik Connect bikes. And it was just a super successful event that really, I think, showed his team and beyond, like what's possible with Qlik Cloud, what they can do now moving forward. They had Qlik people come and do demos of Qlik Answers, Qlik Predict, automations. They had discussions on the future of analytics. And so I think it was just a really great event that he held for their organization. But then we also had him come to a Luminary roundtable and share what he did and share how others can do that in their own organizations. And we had a discussion on, how can you get your team on board with new capabilities.
Great. So when you look at the luminaries, is there a pressure on luminaries to be public advocates, or can somebody be quietly impactful inside their company and still qualify?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. So we do ask luminaries and partner ambassadors to be advocates for Qlik. But we know that different organizations have specific policies on what people can do publicly. So we work with each individual on what they can do as an advocate. So for some people, that may look more like thought leadership, or doing something maybe with Women Who Qlik, or a one-on-one interview with an analyst, or something like that. So it's not a one size fits all. And I think we really do emphasize advocacy within the organization as well. And that's something that this year we want to do even more of. So, you've got to be an advocate, but that can look different for different people.
Yeah, because I know there are sometimes communication rules, right? Because we have,
yeah, exactly,
in the Qlik ecosystem, there are a lot of big companies, but they have some kind of communication policy, right? And I remember I had, when I was still working for the governmental organization, I had to ask permission for everything.
Yes, exactly. And we want to be respectful of those rules, but still allow people to participate.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Now, talking about the Luminaries program, is that a community aspect, or there is more like individual recognitions? How the Luminaries connect with one another in like share use cases and success stories, etc.
Yeah. So I think the community aspect is probably one of the most important aspects. That's probably what members would say, but there's a huge community aspect, and that's a really key benefit of the program. So, we have these monthly roundtables with both groups separately. Sometimes we come together, and in those calls, they have a chance to talk with each other, share ideas, ask questions, and then also discuss, key topics with Qlik as well in those calls. We have private kind of community chats where people, luminaries, can just ask questions, talk with each other, meet up, organize calls, separate conversations. Mike earlier mentioned, and we've discussed, like the meetup that we have each year. That's a really fun event, really important in terms of the content that comes out of that. And a lot of people, I know that is the highlight of their year, and that, goes for Qlik people as well. And then, of course, like at Qlik Connect, you may have seen the Daredevils. So all our advocates make up a really big advocate community. And that's part of, what people enjoy about that event too, is just seeing old friends, reconnecting, meeting new people, bringing them into the group. So I think the community aspect is something that we really value.
Yeah, I think it's in multiple ways, Sarah. The community things. It's the partner ambassadors. It's the luminaries. It's the dev groups. It's the meetups. It's the Women Who Qlik. It's so broad, and it's so cool to have friends amongst all those groups. So that's super great. Thank you. So registration and what's happening now. It just opened, right? On June 1st. I did admit, I know that Igor has data well, so we are kind of stressful at this moment. And it runs through July 6th. And for some listeners to this episode, what should they do right now if they're interested? Mike, will you start?
Sure. So
Yeah, sure.
I'll share my tips. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah.
Go ahead. Your tip, Sarah.
Okay. I'll share and then turn it to Mike. So I would say first, look at the website, look at the criteria, see currently a Luminary and what the expectations and benefits are. And then you're always welcome to contact us. We're happy to have a call, chat with you, help you have the most competitive submission possible. I would say talk to or follow other current partner ambassadors and luminaries, see what they're doing, and talk to them about how they enjoy the program, and then just make sure to get it in by July 6th. Would you add?
Nothing else, actually. I really think you nailed it.
Yeah, you did. And they can even contact Igor or me because we are still partner ambassador. For me, there is one small thing, tiny thing that I would like to ask, because something has changed in the partner and luminary ambassador, in the luminary group, or admitting the period has changed. Will there be more changes?
Actually, that's an interesting question. There's any change in this cycle compared to previous years?
Yeah.
Other than the time?
Or you can't say. That's also an answer.
You are
laughing.
I would just say we're always looking at ways to enhance the program. Like, we are always taking feedback and looking at what we've done before and seeing how we can continually improve the program. So I think any changes would just be related to how we can keep making it the most impactful program that it can be. If that's an answer.
Well, that's already many years, because you always are looking for improvements or changes that is for the benefit of the group, right? Like the program, I remember we partner ambassadors asked, I think 2 years back, or because we had 2 sessions now together with the customers as well. So luminaries and partner ambassadors together in one roof, not keeping them separate. That was a big question from all of us as the partner ambassadors. And I see that change added so much value to the product design, in stories to be told. So yeah, I think that is one of the magnificent changes that has been done. Mike, do you want to add something?
No, it's interesting because kind of like what Sarah was saying is, we love to hear from the community itself in terms of what changes they want to see, right? That's actually the best source of change, I think, right? And so, in fact, at Qlik Connect this year, one of the partner ambassadors proposed some changes to me. I thought there were great changes in terms of, we've been very successful over the last couple of years with things such as the roundtables and some of the other even smaller groups, like you mentioned, Angelika, that got together around Qlik Answers. And I honestly thought to myself, yep, it's not up to Qlik to think about what's the best thing for the community, but the community itself can really bring forward ultimately what is the change that you require either in your own partner organizations, partner ecosystem, your own engagements with customers and everything, right? So as Sarah said, we're all ears and actually looking for great feedback and insight, and because we have the ability to make the changes for the organization and for the community here.
Yeah, great. Well, Igor, I think the last one is for you, buddy.
I think we answered that.
We covered it. Yeah, I think I did the last question. Ooh. Great. Well, do you want to share anything else with us, Sarah or Mike? So I start with Mike, and then I will go over to Sarah. Do you want to add something to the things, or Igor? Do you want to add something?
Actually, there is one question that I want to direct to Sarah, because Sarah recently also started working with the community MVPs. and we know there's some people sometimes they get confused about the difference between the partner ambassadors, luminaries, and community MVPs. But my action is not about the differences, but how these programs connect in like in a broader ecosystem. And is that a path from one to another? I mean, for me, it was kind of clear. I was a community MVP before even applying to partner ambassador. But is that, or they are independent programs?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the Qlik community is our foundation. And so there's over 270,000 members in Qlik community. So it's huge. It's the brains of Qlik, where there's all sorts of knowledge shared and stored there. And then the people who become most active in community are really our community MVPs, who are moderating forums, sharing solutions, helping just drive activity in the community. And some people see that as that's their area of expertise, and that's where they feel comfortable. But some people want to go a step further and really take it in this more public advocacy aspect, where that's where they could become a luminary or a partner ambassador. And so there is a bit of a progression, but you don't have to have been a community MVP to then become a luminary or a partner ambassador. It's different programs that we offer for the entire Qlik community to get involved. And I think the key is just that there's something for everyone. Whatever you're comfortable or preferences, we have ways that you can engage with Qlik to take your experience a little deeper.
Yeah, you have the MVPs, you have the luminaries, the partner ambassadors, the educator ambassadors. And what I love best about being an educator at the University of Applied Sciences here in Amsterdam is that my students can use a full tenant with talent, with Qlik answers, with everything inside. So they are working on their projects now, and I think on the 18th of June the projects need to be delivered. And that will be a big shout out again to Qlik and the Qlik academic program, because they really love working and they make the most amazing things. I'm really, really surprised again by my students. Yeah. So I think that concludes it, right? Igor,
I think we're missing the 14 and 15. I think that would be interesting. So if you want to ask 14, and I can ask 15, and then we close.
Okay, 14. So, okay, sorry, I missed the end of the script, guys. So if you could pick one luminary or ambassador story to tell at a dinner party, what would it be? And I will start with Sarah first.
Okay. I would say this is just kind of a fun, light partner ambassador story, but I think it demonstrates the power of community. And hopefully I'm not stealing this story from Mike. But 2 years ago at Qlik Connect, we had two partner ambassadors co-present together on stage, and we actually had introduced them. They didn't know each other before the program, and we brought them together on this similar topic to present. And it was a packed house, every seat, standing room only. And they did a selfie at the end, with the whole crowd behind them. And the first 2 rows basically were other partner ambassadors. There to cheer them on, to hear their topic, but also to support. And yes, and I think that's where in that picture. So I think
what is interesting is a huge coincidence. There were one Brazilian and one Dutch, which is basically the Data Voyages. We're not us, but it was coincidentally it was one Brazilian and one Dutch.
That was a moment.
So
that
like
was really, that was a light, really. That was a light. Yeah, exactly. And Mike.
Yeah, so for me, and this is the story I usually bring to dinner conversations when I have the opportunity, and as soon as I say the mid-air story, I know that when I'm looking at all of the pictures here of all of us on this call right now, I'll see your heads nodding yes, because it was so special to us. And just to summarize it quickly, So at Qlik, we have a sustainability organization, and again, we've referenced this a couple of times in this call, is that we have a annual meetup, and we've typically done that in Lund, where we bring the ambassadors and the luminaries together. And then we also had our leader of sustainability. She had brought in MedAir, which is a non-for-profit NGO type of organization that goes into situations around the world and provides almost kind of like a relief type of service where it's needed, right? And of course, that can be situations that are affected by our countries or places that are affected by war or disasters and whatnot, right? And so the one of the leaders of MedAir came into that meeting and talked about what the organization does and what the organization needs. And it was, as you already touched on, Angelika, it was a hugely emotional part of that meeting, which was so interesting because, of course, we're talking about Qlik and we're talking about technology and all of that stuff. And then to have that part of the meeting suddenly enter that area of an emotional connection. And the question was asked, the need was identified by MedAir. And as soon as the question was asked, who here in the room can help? Between, again, this room is full of the luminaries and ambassadors, and every single hand went in the air that we all wanted to contribute to help MedAir. And in the after that, following the meeting, it was actually one of our partner ambassadors and the company that he works for that provided services that were around data integration to help MedAir in that particular need and everything. And then all of that was then brought forward into, I believe, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the Qlik Connect that we had 2 years ago, where that was actually featured on the main stage, right? With the person there from MedAir, as well as the partner ambassador. Yeah, exactly, right? And so that, to me, again, just to summarize it, sustainability, bringing that to the partner ambassador and luminary community at the meetup, having the incredible reaction in that room where everybody said they wanted the help, all the way through to help being provided, and then having that story brought to Qlik Connect, that to me was amazing. And I know it's amazing for everybody.
Yeah, that's one of the moments I will never forget. The standing ovation, the tears that people were crying. I was crying because it was so emotional.
And by the way, they were crying in the room in Lund, and they were emotional standing ovation in Qlik Connect as well.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I was there. Can I ask one question? Because we are partner ambassadors, and I think we have highlights as well to tell at a dinner party. So, Igor, what is the story that you would be telling at the dinner table?
Well, not necessarily about the partner program, but it's something that indirectly or maybe directly convinced myself to apply for the program later. And it was during the COVID pandemic. And we were helping. I mean, I have a strong background in healthcare because I went to the medical school for 4 years. In the 5th year, it's when I switched to computer science. So I have a heavy background in science. And COVID, like nobody knew what at the beginning what happened. There's a lot of like research going on, and some of our customers, I mean, a lot of our customers are in healthcare. So they were basically they said we need to direct our resources, including financial, to this. So we need to pause all of the projects because we want to do this research on this and see how we can develop protocols and tests and things to help our community and our patients. And we said, let us help you. Don't worry about the financial aspect of it. Let's help you. And then I came to the table, and actually this thing that actually put everything in motion for me to move from Boston to Georgia to be closer to these clients. And I said, so I think because the speed is so important, I think we can use Qlik to do all of the statistical analysis and all of that, and we can run the paper on top of that. And we can test different scenarios, we can run simulation, we can do all of that. And we did. There was a few papers, medical papers we published from that using Qlik, not only as producing pretty chart, but actually doing all the statistical background. In order to prove that Qlik was able to perform that, I have to write papers testing how we do hypothesis testing, distribution, all of that in Qlik, and testing against other tools and see, okay, we get the same results. And that drove me to actually make them public available later in the data voyages. And then the data voyage will actually led me to think that I could be, because I never thought I would be, and actually that's a thought that comes frequently to me, that I was never good enough to these people. Because I look at people like Angelika, for example, like, no, I'll never belong to that group, but the whole process. And then, I can say, we use these kind of technology for help people save lives. And then we did multiple medical research projects after that. Actually, we're doing one right now with the American Medical Association to help improve medical residency. And we're using Qlik for all of that. So I think that's one that I said, yeah, we use this, and we have I had a little contribution, but it's a contribution that helped save lives. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for me, there are two projects that I worked on with customers, and the first one was called Balloon, which is medical. It's about the emergency call and the performed medical treatment. So that time needs to be shortened. We won a big prize with that project and the demonstration of it here in the Netherlands. And the second one is the project about climate, right? Climate change. It's the rising sea, and how many people will be affected when something occurs in the world. And we built together with the customer this app, which is actually available on Qlik's system, the tenant of Qlik. It's open and everybody can download it if they want. And now we are working again on this new app, so we can add more data and add, for example, areas where the salty water comes in and it affects the ground. So the farmers need to go more back or need to relocate. We are working on that and adding more data, because the sea is rising. People are sometimes in danger, and we just showed it at the world map. And with coral reefs, you can protect with mangroves. So this company helps projects to not only collect plastics and create something new of it, but they also let coral grow to protect the islands and the warm water areas. And we won the partner award with that 2 years ago. So yeah, that's the two things that stand out for me. All done with Qlik.
Great. I have one final question about the program itself, in the application for the program. So we are in a registration period. So as Angelika said before, so registration already started a few days ago from our recording. But so people who are listening to this, you got up to about a month to apply. But before people actually apply for the program, what is one thing most people get it wrong about these both programs, and they need to know before actually applying?
So one thing that I would say is you don't need to be a skilled public speaker or like a social media influencer. People might think that they have to have a lot of experience already with that kind of advocacy. We will help you. We will give you resources and skills to help you grow in that area. So, you don't need to come in with that expertise, but you will gain that type of expertise from the program. Mike, what would you add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add as well is that, we have partner ambassadors who are with small companies, and we have partner ambassadors that are with the big professional services organizations, right? So don't let that also affect your decision if you're thinking to yourself, maybe I don't work for a big enough company to be a partner ambassador, you know? We definitely want to have both sides of that in the community, basically.
Exactly.
All right. So to everyone, we started this episode talking about people who could not just help themselves, like Angelika and I and so many others. So yeah, we write posts nobody asked for. We answer questions at night. We show up because we wanted to. People show up because they wanted to, not because we were told to do. And we driven by this irresistible need to be part of a community and to help others, to share things. And having Sarah and Michael here made one thing clear to me, that these programs are not really about just handing out badges. They are about finding those people, which is a big community. So I bet it's not easy. And then putting all of these people into the same room, virtual or not. And if that's you who listens to us, or maybe you know someone that could be, again, registration is open until July 6th. The link will be on these episode show notes. Whether you listen to this on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, check the episode description. You find the link there. Or you can go to Qlik community, or you can go to Qlik social media, like LinkedIn, for example, or Qlik website. It's everywhere. And Sarah, Michael, really, really thank you so very much. I know we all have busy schedules, so you found time to meet with us. This is actually means a lot to us, really. And this is one, I hope not the first, not the first, but not the only, the first of many of those conversations that we do not want to cut short. I mean, we could speak for like hours here. And as always, Angelika, thank you so much for being my, as we like to say, partner in crime with all of these, and always support me. And support, our community in anything. Angelika, and I told you this before many times, you were actually a huge inspiration to me, and you continue to be. But now I have many titles, but one that I have most honored to have is to call you a friend. You now you know that you're part of my extended family, so thank you so much as well. And thank you everyone who listens to this, who share our content. So you all also part of the Data Voyagers. You're Data Voyagers. And hope to see everyone in the next one. Again, Michael, Sarah, if you want to say last words, microphone is yours.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you. Really enjoyed being here, and it's a huge honor always to speak with you all, and great to hear how close you guys have become, which I think came out of the Partner Ambassador Program, in part at least.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'll quickly add that current ambassadors, future ambassadors, people that are listening to us today, thank you so much. The current ambassadors have heard me say this a couple of times, is that sometimes I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and I ask myself, what am I doing? And I think to myself, you know what drives me? Partner ambassadors. I really love working with this community, and it's, that's my thank you to you guys as well, that you inspire me to get up and do this for Qlik every day. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. I really enjoyed the conversation, and well, it's friendship where it's all about love, friendship, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, if you guys who listen and wants to be part of this community, it's. I mean, I mean everything that I said. One last story, real quick. So a few weeks ago, Angelika invited me to go to the Netherlands to present at the university she teach. And because I was there, I I tried to meet some of the ambassadors in the area, and like Madelon, Sam, they drove or took a train for more than 2 hours
Yeah.
just to meet me. And I said, oh, you guys are now making me feel that I'm actually important. And it was so great.
Yeah.
So and it's just my first year, and they already felt me, made me feel welcome. And so if you want to be part of this community, either Luminary or ambassadors, apply. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
And I did not intend those to rhyme, but it did.
Okay, hoi pessoal.
Bye, everyone. See you next
Bye.
time.
Data